So the theme for us that we are going to discuss is Revolutionary Pan-Africanism Fights in Solidarity with Oppressed People Everywhere. Our struggle is one. Let me welcome our comrade Sobukwe Shukura to start with a presentation of how he views our struggle being one with the struggle of all oppressed people everywhere in the world. Welcome, Comrade Sobukwe. Karibu.
Thank you, comrade. Revolutionary greetings to you and all of the people who are listening to our broadcast today, our webinar today. Greetings and revolutionary greetings to all of them. I think it's worth noting, as you say, that if we should maybe unpack some of this, unpack the notion of what revolutionary Pan-Africanism is and why it's in solidarity with the oppressed people around the world. I think it's important to understand how, our struggle against imperialism, our historical struggle against capitalism, and how we even got to this position we're in today. Because I think it's important to understand that before there was imperialism, there was capitalism. And before there was capitalism, the grounds for capitalism, the process for getting to capitalism, the crude accumulation was done on the backs of the enslaved African people. And it was also done on the back of the indigenous people who were under settler colonialism. The indigenous people in places like the U.S. or the Americas, millions of people were killed to provide the growing land control of Europe, Western Europe. Western Europe was able to raise its living standards to have much more land than small Western Europe by occupying the Americas and parts of Asia. So we understand that this struggle, this struggle against enslavement and colonization is the basis, even before modern imperialism came about, was the initial basis for our struggle. And we can even think about the solidarity and the internationalism in those struggles that we can think about even prior to us facing colonialization in the modern sense. We can think about our struggle in Haiti and its internationalist stance after it was able to successfully defeat the French. It crossed to the other side of the island and helped to defeat the Spanish. And both of those revolutions in what we know today as Haiti and what we know today as Dominican Republic were an act of solidarity with oppressed people. And then Haiti went one step further in looking at the situation that Bolivar was trying to do in South America. When Bolivar came to Haiti looking for help, they knew that their solidarity that could help not only advance the situation of those who are under Spanish colonialism, but it could also help to organize and free Africans who were enslaved and in South America. And in fact, that is the only thing that Haiti asked for its help, is that when Bolivar was helping to liberate the countries under Spanish colonialism in South America, that he would free the Africans enslaved in those areas. So I think that the African Revolution and the African resistance has a deep history and understanding that it's not just our struggle that we're fighting, but we're fighting and as part of a struggle, a part of a struggle against all of these forms of oppression. When we think about revolutionary, revolutionary Pan-Africanism, we have to understand culture. The resistance of people is what shapes their understanding of their struggle. It's their culture which resists, even when that culture made the culture as Cabral said, and as let me start with Sekou Touré. Sekou Touré helps us understand that revolution or acts helps us understand that comes from our culture, because culture is the sum total of a people's experience. That sum total includes their resistance against oppression. So Cabral takes it one step further. He says that resistance itself is an act of culture, especially for an oppressed people. That resistance, that struggle for national liberation is the highest act of culture. And the highest act of culture for Africans struggling against imperialism is revolutionary Pan-Africanism. Because the Pan-African movement, of course, was anti-imperialist. But it's not enough just to say what we're against. It's also to say what we're for. Revolutionary Pan-Africanism, which was started to be revolutionary when it started to talk about its ideological struggle against imperialism and its struggle for socialism. So we know that this construct, this understanding, is vital for us to understand why we need to have solidarity with the rest of the world. Everybody who's struggling against some form of imperialism, struggling to resist the domination of imperialism around the world. We know that the struggles of African people in the Sudan, in Somalia, and Congo, around the world, are all parts of a struggle against imperialism. We also understand the struggles in Palestine, the struggle and fight in Iran today are also a part of this struggle against imperialism. And this struggle, even when people are not conscious that they're struggling against imperialism, helps to weaken imperialism. And by weakening imperialism, it helps advance the struggles of all oppressed people around the world. We understand when we talk about revolutionary Pan-Africanism, the total liberation and unification of Africa under scientific socialism, that this is the biggest contributions that Africans can make to the rest of the world. Because when Sekou Touré says that imperialism will find its grave in Africa, he's expressing the idea that imperialism was built on the back of Africans' suffering, on the struggle for our resources. We can say that since the Berlin Conference, since the invasion of Africa, the economies of imperialist countries have been heavily tied to the resources, labor, and the resources and land of Africa. Every time Africa moves forward in its struggle against imperialism, it advances not only Africa, but it advances the world. Just like, and it's true in the opposite way. Certainly, after the socialist revolutions in Russia or Soviet Union, and then the one in China certainly helped weaken imperialism. And that weakness in imperialism helped the advance of the national liberation struggles in Africa. In fact, it's that and the level of organization when we were able to define clearly what the enemy was, when we were able to define imperialism as the enemy, we were able to advance very quickly. Because after the Fifth Pan-Africanist Congress, where I said we started to define our struggle, to define the ideology of revolutionary Pan-Africanism, there was a conference held in Ghana for the first time. We had a real Pan-African expression conference on the
Comrade Sobukwe, could you
Yes.
please wrap up? We are running short of time.
Okay. All right. Well, one of the thing I want us to understand is our struggle is tied to the struggle against imperialism. And with that, we understand that even in this struggle today, they're talking about moving towards a World War III. We have to understand that for the African continent, the World War III has already began. We can look at the short struggle between 1996 and 2001 in the Congo over resources, over the killed over 5 million African people. And we're not talking about a long distance ago. We're not talking about the 14 million that was killed under Congolese colonialism. We're talking about, for us, World War III has already started. So we want us to look at that. So we want us to understand that this struggle that people were talking about in Iran, when we talk about the struggle in Palestine, when we talk about them maybe moving us towards World War III, we have to clearly understand that Africa is perhaps already in World War III. We fought against every European imperialist force in Western Europe, the French, the British, the Portuguese, the Belgians. So our struggle with imperialism is much more intimate. It's different from everybody else's. So I think we have to keep that in mind in terms of how we can advance together with all the other struggles that are going on across the world. I'll stop there.
So